Now, I know with the title of the video and the way the FGC is and all that, this video is probably gonna make some people upset. So, before we get in, I just want to say that while I think fighting games are the best they've ever been, I don't think they can't be better. And also that if you're playing a fighting game that you like more than Guilty Gear, you do you, dude. Like, I'm just talking about Guilty Gear because that's the one I'm most passionate about right now. If you like Melty Blood or Nickelodeon or, whatever, you do you, dude. Those games are still great. I think they're all fantastic. I'm just talking about Guilty Gear. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Now, up until last year, I had only really been a casual fighting game fan. I only really played Mortal Kombat with my dad and Super Smash Bros. With my friends. However, Smash Ultimate was and still is my most played fighting game with easily over 1,000 hours played between the day of release and early 2020. It was the first fighting game I tried to play at a high level, and while I was getting pretty good, as I'm sure most of you remember, March 2020, the entire world changed. Everyone was stuck at home, and while I still had a huge love for Smash, I knew there was no way in hell that I was staying home and playing the literal worst online ever. So I decided to do something that I always wanted to do, which was get good at 2D fighting games. As I said before, I played a lot of Mortal Kombat with my dad, but I was god-awful. I had bad fundamentals, I was bad at inputs, and I couldn't even do combos. And because of that, I was always intimidated to try playing them and getting better. Regardless, the game I ended up deciding to play and learn fighting games with was Dragon Ball FighterZ, due to hearing how it was an easier title to get into and had a lot of players to play with online. And let me just say, whoever was saying that Dragon Ball is an easy fighting game was just straight up lying. Like, sure, there are auto combos and supers that can do a lot of damage, so even if you aren't very good, you can at least feel like you're doing stuff. But something I learned the hard way was that if the other player was better than you, you will literally never get a turn. And oh boy, when I first started, a lot of people were better than me. I would just mash, didn't know any combos, and I didn't know what any of the characters did, so I didn't even know how I was losing, let alone why. I would try to watch character guides, but then you click on the video and the combo's just like...
Of warriors, you are nothing.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. Thankfully, before I got discouraged, I realized that combos and execution didn't really matter that much at first. Especially because if you can't get the hit, you can't do the combo anyways. So instead, I would just do the best combos that I could, regardless of how unoptimal they were, and decided to just improve my movement, my neutral, and my defense. Before I knew it, I was grinding and improving every day to the point where I can learn how to do combos simply by looking at them. And I was even learning setups and mix-ups, all to be the guy that, not even a year prior, I would have hated to fucking play against online. Needless to say, I fell really hard into the genre, and whenever there was discussion on what the best fighting game was at the time, Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator 2, or just Rev 2 for short, was always the top contender. It seems like the general consensus was that while it was extremely difficult, Rev 2 had a great general feel and sense of expression. And while I played a bit of Rev 2 and Plus R thanks to its rollback update, I didn't really feel like I could justify playing such old games on my own. However, it did generate more hype for me with the then upcoming Strive, as it would be the first game of the series where I'd have easy access to multiple opponents and the first Guilty Gear that ArcSys would release after I became a fan of theirs. When I played the open beta, I had so much fun that I instantly stopped playing Dragon Ball FighterZ due to the netcode and Strive being so good that it practically ruined FighterZ for me. I was so excited to play it on April 9th, on June 11th. For the rest of the video, I think it would be easier for me to take every point I like about the game and break them down individually. So without further ado, let's start with probably the first thing people would notice, the visuals. I think it's fair to say that when it comes to graphics in fighting games, Arc System Works are uncontested. Not just because of how nice the game looks, with every character being a 3D model in a 2D space, allowing them to do some really cool animations like these. But thanks to the extra time and care they've put to make sure everything looks nice, it makes it easier to know where you get hit and how you're supposed to block it. I mean, you could pause the game at any point during any animation and it'll still look good, which is pretty hard to say for every other fighting game. On top of that, every character is brimming with personality, with really cool designs like definitely not Ryu and Ken, the sexy witch, the devil child, and a guy who works for the US government who swings an alien in a coffin around. Wait, what? Yeah, the characters and by extension the lore is very deep and expansive, and while I think it's really cool, I don't think I can put it in this video because it would make it way too long. But one thing I can talk about is the music. Now this is easily the biggest selling point of Guilty Gear in my opinion, and the reason I wanted to make the video in the first place. So even if I can't convince you to play the game, you should at least listen to the soundtrack on Spotify. It has quickly risen to be my favorite OST of all time, even trumping my previously uncontested Persona 3. And while I definitely like some songs more than others, the fact that almost every single person I know has a different favorite song from the soundtrack has to mean something. And for those who don't know, Guilty Gear is the brainchild of Daisuke Ishiwatari, and I think the best way to describe how much this man is dedicated to this work is to just read the first paragraph of his Wikipedia page. Daisuke Ishiwatari is a South African Japanese video game developer, illustrator, musician, composer, and voice actor. He is best known for creating the 2D fighting game series Guilty Gear. He designed the characters and storyline and wrote the music. He also provided the in-game voice for characters Soul Bad Guy in Order Soul, as well as freed Veles in Battle Fantasia. So basically, he's the Guilty God. And because of this, listening to the Strive soundtrack on its own is really good. But listening to it as a fan of the series and the characters makes every song feel like I'm getting a peek inside of the character they're made for. You know, it's funny, before this year I actually forgot how much I liked rock music, but with the SMT Nocturne remaster and Strive, I was promptly reminded how much I actually love not just the genre, but music as a whole. Now if you don't mind, I'm just going to jam out for a bit. Now, without going too deep into it, Guilty Gear is definitely not an easy game. However, the developers have done a great job of taking the more confusing and unfriendly mechanics of the previous Guilty Gears and made them so much better. For example, Roman canceling, one of the core mechanics to the series, is really easy to understand now. Basically, if you press 3 buttons and have 50 meter, you do a Roman cancel, and depending on the state of the game, you'll get a different color. Blue is given if you're in a neutral state, slowing the enemy player the longest and allowing for punishes or mix-ups you couldn't get normally. Red is given on hit and is mainly used for extending pressures or combos. Purple is used to cancel recovery on moves, allowing for more pressure and combos. Finally, yellow is given if you are currently blocking, allowing you to basically turn into Tyler 1 for a second and resetting the game in neutral.
Wait, am I live? Oh. Get this shit off me!
I don't want to harp on this too much since my view of fighting games is definitely going to be different than like 90% of people who play them. But honestly, if you had asked me what my thoughts were on the game before October 15th, I would have said that I love it, but I just can't jive with the gameplay. Like I love the characters, the lore, and especially the music, but I just could not bring myself to play the game a bunch after the first month or so. However, the recent October patch made this game go from a solid 7 out of 10 to like a definitive 10 out of 10. Like, they really were not kidding when they said they were adding the fun in that patch. So what did they change? Well, for one thing, the game's balance and universal mechanics have been improved across the board, meaning that while every character was viable prior to the update, the general playing field has been made a lot more even, so while there's still some characters better than others, as a whole it's easier to handle bad matchups for every character. And while there are a ton of other changes, the main point of these adjustments was to basically just open the game up, allowing for more creativity and decision making, as well as more win conditions, effectively making this version of the game the best one yet, and one of the best fighting games on the market that everyone can play, thanks to the amazing rollback netcode. It's kind of a shame about the lobbies though.